Welcome to Breaking Bread. It's a delicious weekly serving of conversation and cuisine. I'm your host, Tiffany Bacon, and every week we'll broadcast from a different restaurant, eatery, or chef's kitchen, where delicious delights and curious conversation is on the menu. We broadcast on Word Radio, 900 AM and 96.1 FM in Philadelphia, and worldwide online at wordradio.com and all Word social media. And a very good morning to you. Welcome to today's edition of Breaking Bread. I'm Tiffany Bacon, and I thank you so much for joining me. We are doing more like brunch at home today, and it is the home of dear friends of mine who are my very special guests, and I know you know who they are, and if you don't, you're going to find out a whole lot about them. They are Aaries. Ayinka and Ayana are joining me today. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
It has been so long since we've seen each other. Listen, y'all, we have history. We go back to the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. That's when we first met. Okay. They are recording artists. They are lovely people. They're from Virginia. My family is from Virginia. And we got to talk about that because we may have some relationships.
Right.
Might be cousins. I'm just saying. It would be funny to find that out all these years later. But you guys have been making music for a long time. You made your debut back in the early 2000s, and now you have more music. So today, we'll be breaking bread, talking a little bit more about their upcoming album, what they've been doing all these years, and of course, sharing great food. So ladies, let's start with the food. What did you prepare for us today?
Well, we have some truffle fries. You can't go wrong with truffle fries. Mm-hmm. Some avocado toast for the non-meat eaters, right?
Yes.
Some wings over here. French toast with bananas and berries and strawberries. Fresh. Mm-hmm. And fresh green juice and a Cinnabon. You know, just a plethora of things. You know, in brunch, you don't want breakfast or lunch. You kind of want
it all. Everything.
You just want it all.
Yes, yeah. I love that. So let's dig in. Let's start with the startings. I mean, you know, I'm down with the truffle fries, and you have some avocado toast for me.
This is for you. This plate's for you.
Thank you. Oh, the whole plate.
And then you can add what you would like with your avocado. You know, you got to give the avocado toast some room, right?
You gotta give it some room. Now, you know, it's funny, I don't remember hearing anything about avocado toast before maybe last year.
Really?
I didn't know anything about it. I saw it on some ad for some restaurant somewhere. And I said, I like avocados, you know. I'm a guacamole girl. Let's see what this is about. And it was actually really good.
Yeah.
What's crazy is not all avocado toast is created equal.
Oh, no. Well, that's just like not all chickens created equal. You know, you go to one restaurant and it's great, and the other.
You're like, did you use any seasoning?
Mm-hmm. I hope you like this version of the avocado toast.
Yes.
My one friend in Texas, she did an avocado toast, and I hadn't had that with like a tomato and a fried egg, and then she put the avocado. It was delicious. So after I had it at her house, then I came here and tried to recreate it.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. Okay, so it looks like you have a bit, is this like
Pickled
red cabbage?
onions.
Oh, it's pickled onion. I thought it was red cabbage. This is crazy. So we have pickled onions. It's a sprout. What sprout is this on here?
Watercress sprout?
Watercress.
Or I believe.
Okay.
And then just the avocado. Well, I don't like my avocado just plain. So I guess I'll cheat. I do guac.
So you have all the guac fixins in.
I do the Trader Joe's guac. Oh, what did you say that?
So you got guac toast.
Guac toast. with a fried egg. It's kicking.
Really?
Yeah.
Guac toast.
I might have to try the guac toast.
Oh, the guac toast is good.
I don't know about that fried egg, but yes, for the guac toast.
Would you like some truffle fries?
Mm-hmm. You know I do. Okay, this is amazing.
Would you like some?
And I love a truffle.
Would you like some truffle fries?
I can't remember when I first was introduced to truffle fries, but I'm so glad I was. Before we get into your career, ladies, let's just talk about like your favorite brunch experience. You know, the show is about breaking bread. We're talking we're eating, and where's your favorite brunch spots? And go through some of your favorite brunch experiences.
Oh, yeah. So I love to go to, what is it, Green Eggs? I'll go to Green Eggs. Love that. What is the spot? It's like,
I have a spot.
okay, you go.
Well, because you know I live in New York, so I love going to cafeteria for brunch.
And where is that? I'm not
Cafeteria
familiar.
is on 17th Street.
Is it in Manhattan?
It's in Manhattan. So it's like between 17th and 16th on 7th, but it's a really great spot. So yeah, that's my spot. And they have everything. It's like American like cuisine, but it's like really good.
Okay.
Adelina's on Germantown Ave.
I don't know. Germantown and where?
So it's right next to Chestnut Grill. It's right on the corner, but their brunch menu is surprisingly just amazing because it's an Italian restaurant.
Okay.
But their brunch, it's a whole different experience on Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah.
Around what time?
Around, I would say 11 to 2, or probably 10 to 2.
10 to 2. Okay.
We normally go to at around 12 or 1. Yeah, I don't brunch very early. Don't call me for brunch at 10.
That's all right. That's all right.
Can I have a napkin?
You
Yes,
sure can.
yes.
So I want folks who may not be as familiar with you and your music to just talk about your start in the music business. And I know we're going back. I have a great picture to show folks in a little bit. It's a great photo. We'll get to where that photo was taken and how long ago it was. But let's talk about your start in music.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most people know us from Singing with Music Soul Child, so the girl next door.
In the video and
In
all.
the video. And so I Just Want to Sing was like our first professional start with the music industry. So Girl Next Door and Settle for My Love and Caught Up and like all those songs. For the Night. All of it.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely a banger.
But prior to that, we did a song with Mtume, but it never came out. There'll Never Be. We did a remake with Mtume
Really?
in the studio. Yes.
Is there any way we can get like can anybody ever hear that or?
I know, right?
It's lost.
Oh no.
It's lost.
Yeah, but that was like a once in a lifetime experience doing that. Yep.
So talk about getting into, so you're from Virginia, but how did you get into the Philadelphia music scene? And often on this show, people will hear me talk about that time period, what is called neo soul, and how the city was very much popping back then. Like you could go to a music venue any day of the week, hear live music, see live poets do their thing. What brought you to Philly and what got you into the scene?
What got us into the scene? Okay, so I'm trying to remember this correctly. So those who know, correct me. But we did an open mic at Johnny's
Girl, you know I
show.
don't know.
And Johnny is John Barber.
John Barber. I remember because our manager Jay and Mike had taken us to Johnny's show. Did an open mic scene. I remember Carol sang "Everything Must Change," which is
Carol Riddick.
Carol Riddick, which is one of my favorite versions of that song. Carol Riddick sings.
Her vocals are amazing.
Woo! And so I remember Andre was playing the drums, and he heard us sing. And said to Jay,
Andre is who? Just because some people you're spitting out names because we know who they are. But those folks don't know.
What is Andre's last name? Andre
Harris?
Yeah. Andre
Producer.
Harris. He was drumming, told our managers to bring us down to Touch of Jazz. That's how we got to Touch of Jazz.
Love it.
And then that's when we started doing writing backgrounds with music, but they had brought music down to Touch of Jazz as well. So that's how that kind of started. How do we get to Touch of Jazz? Through the open mic, Andre said, bring them down. And that's how it got started.
Wow.
Yep, with our managers, of course, Jay and Mike and their connections with that. Absolutely.
Now, one thing I think a lot of people who were not part of the scene and has not yet been documented fully is how things really worked, like how people got put on back in the day, whether they were local artists or artists from out of town but came to Philly, like Floetry.
Right.
They clearly were not from here, but they came here to work with the people here. And then their career took off. Talk about, how that worked, how it was instrumental for artists to have platforms like open mics, and how that really got people to the next level in their career.
I mean, from my recollection, I remember that it was all about the 5 spot. Like, so many people would come to Philly and check out the 5 spot at the time. So
Or
it was just like,
Wilhelmina's.
or Wilhelmina's, And so that's the thing. I think it was big, and I think it's coming back again. It's like that open mic scene, because I know there are certain cities, like in New Orleans, they're trying to do that open mic, situation. In New York, there are some places where people go to open mics, but for back in the day, it was Philadelphia, and it was going to those open mics and getting on the mic and performing with all of those great musicians. There's so many great musicians from Philly that to this day are still touring with all the major artists, and they're all from Philadelphia. So that's the part that it started here, and it's just great musicianship here. So that's what it was back in the day. It was just amazing musicianship, and it was a great open mic scene that people came, it all came together and created this really great hot spot.
It was a movement.
I ran into someone 2 days ago at a opening of a salon, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, 5 spot!" And she goes, "We should get that back. Like, can someone do a 5 spot?" And I know there are open mics where you have Time does it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then at City Winery does who does that? The name is
Mr. Man.
escaping me. Mr. Man, Man's doing that. So like I feel like it's there. Like it's just getting that community to really keep coming out, because that was amazing, right?
And it's hard to, as much as people say, oh, I wish we could get it back, but you got to know, like, that was really like a moment in time.
A moment in time.
And certain things had to be in place. Like, you can have open mics now, but that connection to a production house might not be readily there. That was the main thing. Like, if people saw you at the 5 Spot or saw you at John Barber's events, there were folks there who had a direct line into the music industry and could say, I like them, I'm working with an artist, bring them in, and then next thing you know, you have folks like myself who had a show on the radio who's like, I like that song, let's get it on the radio. And then once you're on the radio, it's like you have this nice marriage of, I did this thing, I recorded this thing, people played this thing, and now I'm out on tour, or now I have another thing.
Right.
Right. But it was like an unintentional, it just kind of happened. When no one said, we must create these things were created kind of simultaneously, and it all just worked together. But it was all necessary to kind of make like the city kind of blow up at the same time, because you had to have the venue, you had to have the production studio,
You had to have the people, you had to have the energy,
you had to have the musicians, you had to have all of that.
It all just came naturally together. That's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one thing we were talking about, the show that I had where I was able to showcase a lot of local artists, and I had to go in the Wayback Machine. And I dug up some pictures from October 15th, 2001. Yeah, a little while ago. 2001. So at my former radio station.
Look at that.
Hot 97.
No.
That was 99.
That was New York.
99.
No.
Come on, Hot 99.
I mean, I know Hot 97 was on everybody's record in the 90s. How into ever. Philly had its own.
Yes, that's
it's
right.
Me living in New York, it was just literally.
It's okay. No shade, Mama, no shade. We go back too far. But this is from, I called it the Great Night in Neo Soul. So I invited all you all up to the radio station to just talk about the movement, the thing that was happening in Philly. And in this picture, you can see the young ladies, Ayinka and Ayana, Aaries, as they are known on their records, and me, cheesing. And then up here you all are with Flowetry.
Yes.
So just give you an idea who all was in the room. You all, Flowetry, Kendra the Family Soul, Music Soul Child, John Barber, one of the promoters we were just talking about, Jeff Bradshaw, many different artists, Carol Riddick, all these folks were in the Jazzy Jeff, all of the Touch of Jazz producers.
All of the producers from Touch of Jazz.
Yes. Oh my goodness, I can't think of his name right now. He's with the Roots. He was with the Roots. Now, James Poyser. James Poyser was in the room.
There, yes.
So all these folks, and there is a picture with everybody. I don't have the hard copy right now. I hope I didn't lend it out. I know I put it on Facebook, but there's a hard copy with everybody in the room. But this was like one of those nights that I knew needed to be captured because there was so much fire, musical fire in the city, and we were like, it was an underground scene that like burst on the scene that everybody knew
when you
who you all were.
It now, it's like that was creating history that we didn't even realize at the time was being, done.
But you also like, you had like everyone on the radio, so I can just imagine like the fans or the people who just love the scene at home, like, yo, everybody in there.
Everybody was in there.
I mean? And it was just like, it was just a fun night. It really was.
It was great. And the only two folks that weren't there, the Roots weren't there, and Jill Scott wasn't there because they were literally about to go on tour the next day.
Wow.
So they couldn't make it. It was like, the show was over at midnight, so they're like, I love you, but, we gotta do it. We gotta do it. So I understood. But I just had to show, like, just how long you all have been in the game and just talk about the difference now, making music then versus making music now.
Oh, my gosh. Well, number one, you can make music just about anywhere now if you have the equipment, right?
That's true.
I mean, that was not even heard of. Two, the platforms of how you can promote yourself, that wasn't even
accessible or it hadn't even been created yet, right?
So, I mean, it has totally changed the game. Like, it really has. For the better, I mean, you can have more control. So it's much different, but it's also, I don't know. What do you feel?
Well, even how we were just talking about how the scene was back then, now you don't have to go to an open mic, to be heard. You can just put your song on all platforms and be heard. So I think that's the change of it all. And even when we say like recreate what was, we can't because it's just so completely different. The methods are different now.
Yeah.
How people discover music is different now.
It's so different.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still trying to discover music now. I'm like, what you listening to? Because, back in the day, like, and I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing, but you were it was dictated who you could hear. Now it's just so many. It's like you just feeling your way on who your favorite artist is or what type of, sound you're gravitating towards because there's so much music out there now.
Right. So do you feel at all like it's overwhelming? Because like you said, there were like some serious gatekeepers to what you could hear. Do you get overwhelmed in trying to discover new music yourselves?
I don't know. I do. Yana might not.
I don't look at it as overwhelming. Like, I mean, I appreciate when I hear other people. So like being in New York and saying like, I also, and we can talk about this later, but I also style. So when I'm on set and I'm listening to somebody's playlist, then I start hearing artists that I've never heard before, which I love that. And then I am a Shazammer to the utmost.
I don't even have Shazam.
I'm like, who is that? Like, that's just, So then I'll Shazam it and put it, on my playlist and things like that. But I actually enjoy that. Like, I think it's just super fun to be able to continuously find new artists to listen to.
Wow.
Right.
I love that.
I guess because things are changing. Like, how is your Spotify? I'm so confused. I'm trying to get our Spotify like together.
Right. And I don't even use that.
See, I
You
hear
don't
there's a
use
whole
that? No.
system. Like with your songs, you have to like connect your songs to another song that you've been on. Like so, yeah, it's a lot that have changed. But I like change. It's not like I'm running away from it. So yeah, like Aaries Spotify list.
I love it. Yeah, I tend to be on Pandora.
Pandora.
So
Okay.
I don't know what it is about Pandora, but I got hooked on an Afrobeat song in like 2017. I don't even remember what the song was.
Okay.
But because I liked it and I
Right.
gave it the thumbs up on Pandora, it started
Then
saying,
you
"Oh, you
started
like that?
flowing.
So you'll like things like this."
Your
Right.
algorithm's going to be Afrobeat.
Right. And so I kept getting these really great songs. And I was like, okay. I discovered a whole host of artists that I didn't know anything about.
Right,
If it
right.
wasn't for that particular algorithm. But the thing I think is lost, and I know we've had several events happen since that photo. One being this photo was taken about a month after 9/11. So just talk about life doing music before 9/11 and what, if anything, changed? Because we're coming up on an anniversary.
Yeah, wow. You know, I remember the day that happened that morning. We were supposed to be on the train to go meet Music and Mama's Boys at he was doing this Levi's tour.
Yeah, I think we were supposed to be at MTV or something like that in New York when it happened.
And they were actually, were they heading there?
I think they
or?
were, heading there, but not there yet. So,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, the thing about music before and after, I don't know if it changed, like the way that I made music in a way, but I just remember that day, and that day made you appreciate every single second. I also appreciated delays, because the thing about it is, sometimes in life when you have a delay, like, oh gosh, I'm running late. Sometimes I would think about it and be like, oh, I can't be late. But then I started thinking about it as maybe that's God slowing me down to help me avoid something. So I actually appreciate delays, because that day we were delayed and we couldn't get out to New York. So I think that's what I think about, are delays.
Right.
Interesting. That's great.
But also not taking for granted each day, because although we don't focus on it every day, but 9/11 is something that really, as soon as you say 9/11, that strikes people's hearts, right?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't a very emotional day, and our mom was in D.C. at the time, like around the Pentagon, so. Because she was a federal worker, so like that, that was scary. I remember that day. That was so very scary.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Interesting you mentioned that Levi's show. So I don't have it here with me.
You have another picture.
But in this in the book where these in the book where these pictures are, because I've always been a bit of an archivist.
That's so
I love that,
great.
though.
I
No,
know,
I love
that's
that.
so cool.
I just had a feeling during that
Yeah.
time I need to save things. So I
Right.
saved as much stuff as I
That's
possibly
amazing.
could.
I wish we would have saved.
Listen.
No, I have a whole bag of film
Oh, we need to
that I
talk.
never developed.
That's
it.
true.
I never developed it.
There may be ways you can do that if it's not all the way gone. But what I'm saying is I have a flyer of that event, because I was supposed to go to that event that night as well. I was going to go to New York that evening, but I was on air that morning because, I did traffic. So I was doing traffic reports when 9/11 happened. But I still have the flyer
Wow.
in pristine condition for that concert that never happened.
And it says 9/11 on it. Wow.
9/11 on it, and it never happened.
Wow.
It never happened, because I think Common was on that show.
Yeah.
Amel
yeah.
Rue was on that
Amel,
show.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of people that were set to be on that show that night, and it never happened.
We love Amel. Because we did the Coke commercial with Amel, with Scratch, Donnie,
Music.
Angie Stone, Music, and then Amir. Yeah.
Wow. So let's just talk about, because, we talked about the scene a little bit, and you're mentioning some names that some folks are like, wait, who is that? So when you talk about Amir, you're talking about Questlove, the Roots crew, the legendary Roots crew. Talk about seeing them make that move to be on Jimmy Fallon. Like, I know when I first heard about it, I was like, y'all better do that.
We're like, whoa.
Y'all better do that. And they've been on there for how many years has it been now? Like 10, 12, 15, 20?
Years, but it's so cool to see them be able to be in that spotlight. And then also to see how they, bring artists on and artists come and they want to perform with the Roots crew.
Right. Like, who doesn't want to perform with the Roots crew?
Right.
So it's such a great platform.
It is a beautiful platform. And then how Questlove transitioned into filmmaking and doing that, He always talked about the James Brown tape or the tapes that he'll find and have. And I just think it's amazing that he's transitioned that into also filmmaking and documentary.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
That's
amazing.
awesome.
And he got an Oscar.
And he got an Oscar.
On a very interesting night.
Yeah, I was
on a very interesting Oscars night. But he got an Oscar.
But again, Philly in the spotlight.
Philly in the spotlight for sure. I want to put you ladies now further in the spotlight because you have new music.
Yes.
I want to hear about this new music. Before you do, though, for those who are just tuning in, this is Breaking Bread with Tiffany Bacon here on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. I am here with Aaries, Ayinka, and Ayana. We're talking all things music, all things old school music, all things neo-soul, all things Philly, all things food, because they put a spread together for you, girl, and I'm not mad. I'm trying not to be greedy while you're talking.
I'm like, can I eat and talk?
Just talk too much with your mouth open.
Right.
I'm not trying to gross anybody out. But these truffle fries are the bomb.com. Let me just say. I was trying to sneak it in. We were talking about 9/11. I'm like, that's disrespectful. I'm going to wait. But soon we're done. I'm going to get with this truffle fry. It's really good. Like the truffle is popping on this fry. Do you mind passing the green juice over this way? And as you are, please, thank you. Please tell me about the new music.
So it is a project that's dear to our heart. Producer was Marcus John Bryant, Rated Art. We wrote it with him. He was writers with us, me and Ayana and Connie McKendricks. Okay. And then we have another song that was written and produced by Carvin and I. And we also wrote it, Time's a Wasting. So we knew we wanted an EP. We wanted to just put out something independently. And we have personal songs on there about our story, about just feeling like, where can I find my way again, and then at the end, we end it with a prayer. So we end it with the Lord's Prayer. And it's called Yinka Yana, so please check it out on all digital platforms. And we're really excited. We're really excited about it. It is a labor of love.
Yeah.
Share your thoughts about the labor of love from your perspective. Like, would you say this is deeply personal, more personal than your previous work? Or would it be on the same level of personal, just you're older, so there's more story to tell?
More story to tell, I think. But at the same time, we never came out with a full project before. So when people would hear us, we do backgrounds on other people's projects. Like we did Music Soul Child. We did backgrounds on Chris Brown. Like we've done backgrounds on things, but we never had our own project. And we were signed to Atlantic and Sony, but the projects never came out. And so Ayinka and I, took some time to step away and just live a little bit and not feel that pressure and not feel that disappointment and then come back again. So that's what Yinka Yana is. It's just, again, things that we've experienced in life. And then also just being able to be as, I think, honest and as authentic as we could be for the project.
Yeah, I love that.
Like so even Yinka starting off with her and Micah talking.
Yeah, with my daughter.
But nobody's stopping you. And that was Yinka coming up with that and calling me and was like, okay, I have this tune and I want to do this. And I was like, let's do it. So.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I remember having a CD of some music of yours.
Do you? What was it?
Atlantic.
I don't remember the label.
Yeah,
unless it was real in my face.
Yeah.
I didn't remember the label.
Yeah.
I just remember the cover art, and I was like, So we spun a couple things. So we spun a couple things, and I was like, go ahead, y'all. Go ahead. And then, of course, I had the question, so where's the rest? Like, what happened? Do you mind sharing like that? Because I know that for a lot of artists, more than people would think, these things happen. There's the promise of stuff. There's samples of stuff. You do a couple of singles, and then it's like, what happened?
Yeah. An artist friend of mine said the easiest thing is to get a deal. The hardest thing is to keep a deal. And I'll never, it rings in my head to this day because it's the truth. You can get the deal, right? Yeah. But then you have to keep the deal. But you also have to say, who am I as an artist? What type of music am I trying to put out? And those things have to align. So, we were working on our first project, but, we just wasn't like really given a date. So we decided to walk away. And that's unheard of. Like, you don't walk away from a deal, but we just felt like, oh, we'll get another deal, let's just walk away. So that's what we did. But, in hindsight, I don't know. I don't do the shoulda, woulda, couldas. I don't do that.
No need.
But
it's
I
not.
think it was just, we started recording an album. We did the Cavassier tour.
Yeah,
and
we did do
it
that.
just didn't work out with Atlantic. It wasn't aligning with what Ayinka and I wanted.
Right.
And so I actually appreciate the fact that we didn't have the fear to walk away and just walked away. And then we ended up signing with Sony a couple of years later.
Right.
And unfortunately, our A&R left Sony, and you know how that goes. When you don't have representation, then you don't have no one in the building to help get that project out there. But it led us here.
Yeah, it led us here, and that's so true because I was talking to my husband. If I had to do it all over again, I would do it just the same. I was looking at some of the artists and some of their stories, like the ones who you feel are like really like happy, but then you hear like, what was that BET her stories or the stories in the back, or you hear what really went on. It's like me and Yana just always wanted to just be happy and do the music, and that's what we are. We're happy and we're doing the music. So absolutely,
I love it.
Yep.
So okay, you mentioned that you sang background for a bunch of people. Of course, we know about music because it was very clear that was y'all on the record.
Yep.
But talk about your experience working with Chris Brown. What did you sing?
Well, no, we didn't actually meet him though.
Oh, you just laid the track.
Yeah, we just laid the backgrounds.
For those who have never been in a studio and know how that works, please explain.
If you ever hear the song "So Glad," that's us on there. On So Glad.
Even I always like to say this because people don't know. La
Yes.
la 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 la.
Who was that? Joe and G Unit.
Yeah,
that was us.
That's me and y'all doing the law.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
Ride with you, yeah.
Get out of town.
Yep.
So how does that work? So how do you get called in to do background for projects?
Yeah. So like we talked about, we were with Mama's Boy, so that was a whole family there, and you had Carvin and Ive and Jay and Mike, and so Carvin and Ive did a lot of production for a lot of artists. So whenever backgrounds were needed, they would call us up and be like, "Hey, come in the studio. Can you do backgrounds?" And we're like, "Yeah." So it was fantastic to be able to be a part of the family and to do that. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, there are lots of artists who are coming up, and because the business has changed, the gates aren't kept as strongly as they used to be because there's so many ways to release music.
Yeah. Climb that gate.
To record.
You can record yourself with your iPad and a half-decent mic.
Yeah, that's what
in your basement.
You got a half-decent mic. Mine got to be a little decent.
Right, a little bit decent. It could be crappy a little bit and still put it
I
out.
think you could probably even
get backgrounds offline now. I have no idea.
Really?
It just seems that way. I don't know. It's
I hope
just,
you can.
Well, AI?
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's
there's
not.
just so many
It's a lot.
ways. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Or just overdubbing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just overdub yourself.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson used to do it. You know, he was all the parts on a lot of records. So some folks who have that range and can and know about harmony could do
it.
that.
Or you can just pitch it in a software system
Right.
and do it. It's so it's just so different now.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
So what is your hope for this project? I mean, you know, you've had hopes dashed in the past. You had projects on the table and not really shake out the way you wanted. So what is it that you're looking for with Yinkayana?
I think the main concern or the main focus was us just getting music out. So Yinka said it last night. She had this, like, you know how sometimes you have this pit in your stomach and it's something that you want to do and you want to see come to fruition.
I mean, we've dreamt of this since we were little girls. We've been singing since we were little. You know, we were classically trained. We sang gospel music. I went to Lehigh University, and people would say, "What are you majoring in?" And I would say, "I haven't picked a major because I'm going to be a singer. College is a hobby." Like this, you know, that is like how I felt like singing is my thing. It's our thing, and so that bothered me. That bothered us, right? And so I just needed. Thank you to Connie McKendricks, because Connie said, "Yinka, I know you and Yana want to sing.
Yeah.
So don't say you don't want to sing, you know?" So our goal was to just fulfill that dream for ourselves, right? First. And then we're hoping that others will hear it and love it.
Yeah. And then, you know, continue to let the universe unfold whatever is to be unfolded. But that was more so just making sure that we could realize that dream. Yes. And to get the music out and to also tell our story.
Yeah.
You know, so like even with Dad's song, which was a personal song of ours, it's to be able to tell our story and also be able to touch others, because maybe somebody else has dealt with that, and so maybe it'll touch them, or maybe someone might be thinking about taking their life and they can hear that song, and maybe it'll touch them in a way where maybe they will choose something different. So for us, it was just more so being as personal as we could to be able to tell our story, because a lot of times people don't know Ayana and Yinka. They're like, we know Ayana and Yinka, but we don't know Ayana and Yinka. And the thing, like, we're so introverted, and we're reclusive. We're cool with staying at home. Like, we don't have to be out in the scene. Like, so that's the thing where we're not out and about, but at the same time, it's like, when you get to know us, we want you to really, truly know us and know who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I want this to be a smash hit. I really do. Are you working on a video? Would we be able to see a video at any point in the next couple of months?
Yeah, we're working that out. We're
Okay.
working that
We're
out.
working it out. We were almost there. Actually, we're going to put out a video simultaneously with the project, but it didn't pan out. But we still want to be able to put some visuals out there for everybody.
Okay. I love it. Looking in hindsight, looking over your career, looking over this time in Philly that we were talking about, what are the biggest takeaways that you have just from being in the music business, knowing that there are so many stories, especially being a woman and being an attractive woman in the business? Looking back, what would you say are the biggest takeaways from your time as a musician, as an artist?
Don't let anyone take your power away. As artists, and like you said, as female artists, sometimes we might cower if we think, "Oh, well, I don't want to seem too, can can I use a certain word? I don't know.
No,
Okay.
probably not.
Yeah, I don't want to seem too like, you know, strong, you know, aggressive, and the word they like to label us women. And so
I was trying to think of the
Yeah,
word
but
to help
yeah,
you with
yeah.
the word you wanted to
yeah,
Right.
and so
Too much, being too much.
being able to stand inside yourself and in your skin and say, no, I do deserve this, like, or I can do this. Like, it's so crazy. Like, I love the industry, right? But the industry is still, and I don't mean to get into this gender talk, but it's still very male dominated at times, and you feel it, right? And nothing against, we need men and women together, but we need to be able to step into our own as women as well, and give us that platform and that respect as well, right? I would say that's what I would give advice to other female artists.
And I think it's kind of piggybacking off of what Yinka said, but just like truly knowing yourself. And it's okay to say, no, I don't like this song and I don't want to sing this song. So that's something. But I will say that we had a pretty good, I think, circle and group around us that really looked out for us and kept us, I think, shielded from so much in the industry.
From the foolishness.
It really did.
Like we
Yeah.
really did.
Mama's
So-
boys really did look after us.
So I'm appreciative of that, but I think just, you know, in our older age, and something that I had to learn is like, listen to your voice, listen to that inside voice, listen to that intuition, and follow it. There have been so many times where I've said to myself, man, I knew I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because the voice was telling me not to, but I did it anyway.
I just had to do it.
Yeah, and so, you know, something that I've definitely learned and continue to practice is just listening to that voice and being quiet so that you can hear it.
I love that.
That's
That
a
is
good
great
one,
advice.
right? Yeah.
That's great advice for young folks in the business. I want to spend a little bit of time talking, you know, going in the Wayback Machine, talking about some of your favorite moments. Okay, what were some of your favorite moments on stage, and who were you on stage with?
Me first.
Yes.
No, I think one of my favorite moments, and it was do you remember the $1 bill shows that MTV would show?
Oh, yeah.
And all the crowd played $1 to get there.
Yeah, $1 bill show.
Yeah. So music was asked to perform at the $1 bill show, and so we had to fly. I forget where we were, but Yinka couldn't come with me, so I had to go by myself. Which is so crazy because
I was so
we
sad.
were never separated.
I know.
We,
Except for that event.
I know.
was
We were
what?
like, what? But it
Okay.
was so fun. Like, I remember getting up on stage and doing that song with him, Girl Next Door, and it was just so much fun, and the crowd and the energy. So that's one of the experiences that I think about when we were on stage, and it definitely stands out as one of my like highlight moments.
Nice.
How about
Too.
I mean, it sounds kind of cliche but like corny, but when we all started together. So I don't know if y'all remember, so Bev opened for music back in the day.
Yes.
That's how we met Bev.
Yes.
Beverly Bonds.
So he had
Black
a
Girl
promo.
Rock.
Yeah, he had a promo tour.
That's when we first connected with Bev, and I remember like she's just like the coolest,
so cool,
flyest
so beautiful, so
girl
nice.
I've ever met. You know, I hope I'm not making any noises, but yeah, that was like so much fun. Just the beginning days of that was so much fun, and then can I have two?
Of course.
The Coca-Cola commercial.
Okay.
I mean, that was like, because that was with Mel, that was with Angie Stone. It was just so much fun. And then we all went into the studio and just freestyled. So that was fun.
Yeah, so that commercial was all freestyling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we didn't have anything set, and they just said go into the studio, we recorded, and then we ended up recording the commercial from the freestyle.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know we're probably missing some great moments.
I was going to
but
say another moment. I think it was All-Star Weekend. This was the first
Oh,
time
yeah.
that me
Wasn't
and
that?
Yinka,
Philly.
Philly
Child.
All-Star Weekend. I'll never forget that, because I'm going to tell you, first of all,
Yeah.
when they told us the lineup, and they said, you guys are going to go on after Jill Scott. And I was
I was
like,
like, Mom!
that's what they're going to do.
Come on!
Oh
my gosh.
Yes.
I remember saying to like Jay and Mike, like, really, you guys can't change that at all?
Oh my God.
But
Oh
she was
my God.
amazing.
Because she's, you know,
Because she's
She's chill. Because she's chill.
God.
Right.
But at the same time, like when we got up there and sang our songs, it was such a great experience.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I'll never forget as well. Is that All-Star Weekend.
That, okay. I tell these All-Star Weekend, I have a crazy All-Star Weekend story in two parts.
Yes, can we hear it,
I don't know if I
please?
can tell both parts on the radio because one of them is trifling. It's real trifling. It wasn't trifling intentionally on my part. The whole thing was trifling. But I remember All-Star Weekend was 2002.
Mm-hmm.
It was on my birthday. Oh. So my birthday was that weekend.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was like that Friday, I think was my birthday. Okay. And I was at the radio station and Will Smith was throwing a party at the Electric Factory.
Oh.
And so he called in, since I was doing traffic for Golden Boy at the time in the afternoon. People were saying, oh, tell Tiff we said happy birthday. And I'm like, oh, that's so nice. So Will Smith called in to do an interview about his event that night. And at the end, he said, tell Tiff I said happy birthday.
Oh.
I don't know Will Smith. I never met Will Smith. I didn't go to Overbrook. He older than me. I didn't know him. So Golden Boy was like, you know Will Smith? I said, no, I don't. Oh, my God. I had no idea. He was in Philly like that, knew who I was. So I was geeked out, like, God, Will Smith
Right,
knows
who wouldn't
I
be?
am.
Who wouldn't be, right?
So I go with my boyfriend at the time to the event that night, make my way backstage, and I get to meet Will Smith. He's coming down the ramp. He was hosting the show, so he had just got off stage. He comes down the ramp, and I said, hi, Will, I'm Tiffany Bacon. And he was like, oh, nice to meet you. Super tall. I'm 5'2". He's up there. I'm like, nice to meet you. He was like, yeah, come on back. So I go into that back room, you know, the green room. Little did I know, sitting in the room was Muhammad Ali.
What?
I had no idea.
Wait a minute, what?
I had no idea.
Oh my
Nobody
God.
out there had any idea
That Muhammad Ali was there.
Now you know.
Is that
Will?
when Will was?
Will did I? Right.
That's when he did.
He had just done the movie Ali,
Oh
and I was
my
like,
gosh.
I'm tripping. So I said to Muhammad Ali, oh my God, I love you. I didn't have anything sophisticated to say. I was just like, oh my God, I love you. And he was like, I ain't nothing but another N-word.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm sorry.
What? And you don't expect that from
Did
from
not
Muhammad
expect him to
Ali.
say that. Did not expect him to say anything, actually. But he did. And I was like, what? So Will Smith's standing there. Jazzy Jeff is in the room. Kumo D is in the room. My boyfriend at the time was next to me. And he's looking at me, and he looks at my boyfriend, and he looks at me, and he says, you're very pretty. And I was like, oh my God, I just got complimented by the greatest of all time.
By the greatest of all time.
The boyfriend was like, yeah, you know, saying some old slick stuff. And so Muhammad Ali looks at him, and he looks at me, and he says, is that you? Pointing to the boyfriend. And I was like, yeah.
Oh, is that you?
He was like, is that you? Like, is that your
Right.
man?
No, I know.
He was like, is that you? And I was like, yeah. And Muhammad Ali said, leave him.
Oh.
I said, I'm sorry. This is not actually happening in my life.
And he said it in front of
He
him.
said it in front of everybody. Will Smith, all of them. Said it in front of everybody. And I was like, and at that moment, Big Scott from New Jersey was like, hey, let me get that pic. And
my
so
gosh.
now on my
So now you
Facebook
have to
page,
take a
Now,
picture.
yeah,
I
now
have
your
the
face
best
is like-
picture of my life standing between Will Smith and Muhammad Ali right after that moment. And I was just like,
That is crazy.
happy birthday to me. I should have took his advice, but happy birthday.
Oh my gosh.
to me. Crazy. That craziest, wild.
Was your man salty?
He was, but how salty can somebody be? Oh,
Hey, Micah. Hey, Micah. Bye, Micah.
that's all right. I love it. You gotta love the babies. I love it. She's like, yeah, mommy talking.
I'm like, what is going on?
I want to talk on the TV and the radio too. Yeah, he was a little salty, but what was he? The greatest of all time? Just basically said, you need to sit down. But he was right. But that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother
story. But that weekend,
Crazy though.
trust me when I say the night ended in a real trifling way, because where we ended up next, I can't share on the radio.
Can't share.
Oh.
I could tell y'all off air.
Okay.
Oh, can you?
I can tell you off air.
Yeah, I'm a story person. I
Listen.
love stories.
I got
them.
a book full of stories. But that was my
a book full of stories.
That was my big All-Star Weekend memory. In addition to that weekend was the show that you all are talking about. 'Cause I think that was that next night. And on stage with y'all, Jill was there, the Roots were there.
We did two nights, right? Wasn't it 2 nights?
Was it 2 nights? No, it was just
one
one.
I just remember the one.
Oh, okay.
I just remember the
don't
one
know. In
because
my
like
mind, it
literally
felt like 2
everybody
nights.
was on stage.
Felt like 2 nights.
No, everybody was on stage that night. Like
Well,
everybody.
remember backstage too, because a good friend of ours, John Murray, he was there. Remember,
Yeah,
he came
yeah.
backstage.
Yeah. Everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody was on stage. Like anybody that had anything to do with Philly music was on stage that night.
Yep, that's very true. It was
great.
And
It was a packed backstage.
Again, that was history that we
too
didn't
much.
even know was being made.
Yeah. But you have to so one of the things that, I try to do is like, save pictures like this and just absorb it, because I had this feeling then like this is something really extra special.
Right.
This isn't the regular. You know what I mean? Like when I heard my parents, so it's so interesting like about Philly. Like Philly is so big but yet so small. So growing up, my parents weren't in the music industry. Like if anything, my dad had a record store for a little bit of time on Germantown Avenue, but that's as close as we got.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
He did. So like I grew up
That's
loving.
not a small feat.
Yeah.
No,
it is.
That's big.
It is, but like being in the industry, like on
Right.
the recording side, we didn't have that. We just had a deep love for
music. I was gonna say, is that what started your love for music?
Man.
I was
'Cause
gonna say, and since you had the record store, did you listen to records like?
Well, I always
time in
did.
the
Yeah,
store?
all the time. I didn't listen in the store because I think my dad had to shut it down before I was old enough to go in the store and really like enjoy
okay,
it.
and really enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I missed that.
Okay.
But they instilled deep love of music. So I
Yes.
always we had the components that, the one that took up half a wall in the living room with the big speakers and
Absolutely.
the record player and the 8-track and the cassette, all that, right? The big knobs. So I was always listening to music, and to hear my parents talking about going to different places to see shows was like, I can't wait till I can go see a show.
Yeah.
I want to see these shows. And they were talking about like Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and they're talking about seeing the Delphonics and the Stylistics and like all these group, or the on Broad Street, where I can't think of the name right now.
Oh,
The Uptown, going to the
Uptown. I
Uptown to see
know.
all the Motown acts and all the reviews, just soaking it all in. And I just couldn't wait until I could get out there and
see it
soak it all in.
right.
I love it. So hearing them talk about the scene did not feel like what we were experiencing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it just felt a little different.
It felt different, right?
Yeah, felt a little different.
And I mean, I'm just grateful that we were able to also be a part of it, being transplants. But Philly is home, y'all, so
Yes.
embrace me. I am.
Ain't nobody
I'm a
kicking you out.
Philadelphian.
Come on now. Ain't nobody kicking you out.
Because I remember, we have a lot of family here. So shout out to our family.
Yes,
But we have
shout
a
out.
lot of family. And I remember after Lehigh, I told my mom, because we had so much family, I said, I want to make Philly my home. But I also remember coming up here during the summers when we were like 12 and 11 and 12, 13, and hanging out with our cousins. And I tell my mom, I'm moving to Philly. She'd be like, what? I'm like, yes, because it's just something about Philly that I just love. You know what I mean? I gravitated towards, and I said, I'm making Philly my home at 11, and now
Wow.
Philly's my home. Yeah.
Wow.
I remember.
Can you really
that.
like even now? Can you put your finger on what that
Look
thing
like?
was?
What that looked like? I don't.
Yeah.
It's
just,
it
was just different.
growing up in Arlington, you know, from the suburbs, but it's right outside of DC, so it wasn't like it's not urban like, right? But even though DC is like the chocolate city, you know, we sang in church. We sang with Richard Smallwood when we was little, like our gospel choir. I remember we always had like the feel of our culture around us. But when I came to Philly, I can't put my finger on it. I don't know why, but I would say I'm moving to Philly. It just had this different vibe. And my mom would be like, "You moving to Philly? You sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure. I'm moving to Philly." You know, because I assumed she thought we'd always stay with her. You know, stay in Virginia with her. But no, I always knew I was moving to Philly.
Get out of town. Okay, that's Sixth Sense. That thing was working in you. Knew what the future was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's so funny. My daughter, she wants to move to LA.
Okay.
And I said, well, I'll be right here in Philly.
God bless you, baby. I'll be here when you come home. All
Be
right.
here when you get back.
I love it. I love it. Well, maybe she's able to predict that future for herself.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
We're almost out of time, ladies. Before we go, tell folks how they can pick up Yinka Yana.
You can download it. You can go to It's Aaries Music. That's our website. But also our Instagram page is It's Aaries, and the link is right there. All digital platforms. Download it on Apple, Spotify, whatever your platform of choice is. But also, please, 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 it's not because we're trying to do anything. Please buy Black music. I remember talking to Terry and Helen about that. It's important for us to buy our music. So if you can, please buy Black music too.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Ladies, thank you so much for
Tiffany.
opening your home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the legend right here.
Yes.
I'm serious. Tiffany
Legend.
Bacon.
Tiffany Bacon.
Thank you.
Y'all are too much. Thank you. Thank your daughter for making an appearance on the show today. It's walking through like the roommate. It's a house. So
Like
who
the
am I?
roommate. Didn't she?
With her chips in her hand.
With her chips.
She was like,
I love it. See? Having brunch at home. It's an amazing thing. Thank y'all so much for checking us out today. Much love going out to my producer and director of the show today, Nicholas Steptoe. Have a peaceful, positive, and productive day. We will catch you next time. Bye-bye.